Welcome, dear all students, to the very first lecture of the course titled Parliamentary Procedures in India. So, here in this course, we would be looking at what exactly the major procedures that prevailed in our constitution to do all the parliamentary businesses. That includes lawmaking steps and even whatever be the ratifications that each members of the parliament, including Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, wanted to make in it, so they need to follow certain provisions and certain processes and structures in it. So all these different aspects of parliamentary procedures will be keenly discussed, scrutinized, and examined here in this paper titled Parliamentary Procedures in India. So I have a very humble request to all of you. This course requires a lot of attention. A very careful analysis only will give you will make you a bit comfortable with each and every portions of this course, as it requires a kind of a scrutiny or a high order thinking skill from each one of you. So in order to give you a clear cut understanding about the entire structure of this course, I'm sharing a PPT here that will give you a very you know easy observation on different aspects of this course. So it's already shared. So you can see here the slides itself. The title is Parliamentary Procedures in India. When we move to the next slide, here we can see what exactly the course objectives that all of you will be able to achieve after attending all content deliveries on each portion. So we have three major objectives listed out here. Very first one is to make the students familiar with the legislative practices in India with an orientation to equip them with the adequate skills of participation in deliberative processes and democratic decision making. So here in the very first objective itself, we can see Indian democracy, it works in a very peculiar way. Unlike a British parliamentary system, unlike the American democratic devices and other processes that they are often resort to make their laws, India is having a very peculiar deliberate democratic devices. Though some of its stages and processes are bit seem to be similar, but there are certain differences, as we have already seen in many of your foundational classes itself. Indian democracy works on a kind of provisions or different aspects of Panchayat Raj system itself, which often relies on three Ds. That's what we call decentralization, delegation, and devolution of power. So there in that context, the first objective will require a lot of your attention to clearly identify what exactly the major ways and processes that Indian democracy goes and walks through to come to a stage called a final a law product. That's what we call act, or whatever be the outcome of such kind of processes. Second objective is to provide the basic understanding of the constitutional provisions relating to parliamentary procedures and the accessories of the same. So there are certain constitutional provisions. So each one of you need to look at what are the constitutional provisions in uh, which of the constitutional blocks or provisions we have reserved certain legal and political spaces to parliament to do its business. And third one is to understand the working of democracy through an institutional mechanism. It's always a good idea to have a lot of thematical structure. In our case, of course, constitution itself is a, we call it as a living document, but it's itself is a theme. Based on that thematical structure and that theme only, all our system works and vindicates all those policies, acts, and even pets which are being discussed and passed there in the Indian Parliament, including Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, with the consent of President itself. So these are the three course objectives. And moving to the next slide, there you can see course outcomes. How you will be able to reach to a position in which you will feel like, yes, I have successfully completed this course. So At that moment, you can see these three outcomes listed out here in the slide you are currently seeing in front of you. It says evaluate basic parliamentary procedures in India. So successfully attending all the lectures, okay, of this course, you will be able to, you are, supposed to develop a capability that will make you to evaluate the basic parliamentary procedures on lawmaking, law processing and all. Second one is to reflect upon lawmaking processes. Third one is to appraise the relevance of parliamentary committees, challenges to working of Indian democracy. So there lies the importance of Indian democracy. Indian democracy, though there are certain provisions which urges is to often incline towards procedural democracy, but still, um, because of the presence of certain committees inside the parliament, including public accounts committees, standing committees, finance committees, which makes Indian democracy to respond to the questions of people's representatives in a very transparent and accountable way. So that makes our democracy distinctive from other democracies. So these are the three course outcomes I hope you will be able to achieve at the end of this course itself. Now let's move to the three units which we have distributed to each and every portions mentioned in your syllabus. And syllabus you can see on your LMS itself, which I have already shared the so under unit we have certain chapters. Under those chapters only we have again subdivided or given lectures. So lecture 1, elections to the legislatures, including both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and of course election of the president will be carefully examined there. So elections to the legislatures here means elections to the Union Executive of India or Union Legislature of India. Let's lecture second deals with the elections to the state legislature. So at national level, we have seen you have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and President as three core component institutions. But when it comes to state level, you have a governor, prime minister, chief minister, and others are there. So all those aspects will be covered in Unit 1, Chapter 1 under Lecture 1 and 2. Chapter 2, we have again two lectures to understand here. Lecture 1 talks about powers, functions, and privileges of people's representatives, especially Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and of course, privileges, functions, and powers of President of India. Lecture 2, again, the same point, but that comes in the context of members of state legislature. Chapter 3, under Unit 1, we have two lectures again. Lecture 1 deals with the what are the provisions mentioned from Article 107 to 122. So I have divided these lectures into two. Part 1, we will be discussing some of the articles from 107 to 122. Uh, but it's not technically possible to cover all those portions related to the procedures of the parliament in a single lecture. So I have extended this lecture to lecture number 2 itself. There we will be discussing the remaining articles. Now, what we have, we will not be able to covered in the first lecture will be covered in the second lecture. So when it comes to Unit 2, you can see there are three lectures under Chapter 4. Lecture 1, kinds of bills. There are different types and categories of bills in Indian Parliament. These are some technical information you need to equip with. So lecture 1, ordinary bills. Lecture 2, money bills and finance bills. Lecture 3, private member bills. Under chapter 5, we have two lectures in which we will be discussing about the stages and steps in lawmaking processes. So readings and stages will be covered in lecture 1, and the role of president in giving his consent or her consent in making a bill, an actual bill, will be covered in lecture 2. Chapter 6 will be dealing with the four different lectures. In four different lectures, we will be dealing with the topics including composition and functioning of departmental standing committees and select committees, joint parliamentary committees, public accounts committee on privileged business, advisory committees, ethics committee, and public estimates committee. So these are the different committees which look at different aspects of the bill itself, how it is going to better the situation of the people of this country, how it is, looking against the provisions mentioned in Constitution of India, whether it is having certain ethics to be justified. Everything will be measured and calculated here. Under Unit 3, that is our last unit, we have Chapter 7 here. Under Chapter 7, there are three major lectures, motions and hours in the House, including question hour, 0 hour, half an hour discussion. Under Lecture 2, you have attention motions, including calling attention motion, adjournment motion, privilege motion. Censor motion, no confidence motion, cut motions will be discussed in lecture number 3. Again, Chapter 8, we have three lectures to finish here. Lecture 1 deals with the types starred and unstarred questions. That comes as part of parliamentary questions. Lecture 2, questions addressed to private members. Lecture 3, short notice questions. And again, we have another lecture here under Unit 3, that is lecture number 9. Sorry, chapter number 9. Under chapter number 9, we have four major lectures to finish. Lecture 1, parliamentary privileges, that includes constitutional provisions on parliamentary privileges. Lecture 2, codification of privileges, privileges of parliamentarians and legislators, and what are the provisions on the breach of privileges. Lecture 3, need of codification of privileges of parliamentarians, and Lecture 4, contempt of parliament. So these are the major portions we will be going to see here in this course title, Parliamentary Procedures in India. And for your assignment purpose, of course, we have provision to give you certain options. Either you can go for book reviews or research article reviews, or you can pick up two assignment topics, which I have already given here, but it's up to you. If you want to pick up a new topic from our syllabus, you have all the freedom, because our class is very democratic. There is no restriction or mandatory provisions on you related to assignment topics. So you can pick up an area which makes you bit comfortable to finish an assignment. And for this assignment, we need to follow a rubrics itself that I will be sharing in the class. So these are the major information I would like to share. And in addition to that, on cross-cutting issues, this course will touch upon human values, professional ethics as cross-cutting values or issues itself. And these are the references you can see that you can cross-check while you download your syllabus from LMS itself. So, dear students, thank you very much, and I wish all of you a great success for this course. All of you are requested to, put a little bit effort to understand this course, because this is more of a technical in nature. In this paper, we are going to see some of the constitutional provisions, that's again technical, and many of the constitutional standing committees within the parliament itself, how they work. So all these committees, all these constitutional provisions are having or are required a lot of attention from your side. Then only you will be able to understand it properly. So all the very best wishes. We will see in our classroom with our first lecture. Till then, bye.